do you think is good value for money, good value for ratepayers? Do you want to spend $17 million or more in one precinct, or do you want to spend $15 million into 4 to 5 different sport facilities spread throughout the municipality? And if you read the report, it says here that the $17 million or more at this one precinct, it will take potentially, as you heard from an officer, 4 to 5 years to develop, whereas these other 4 to 5 sports fields identified are shovel ready. Look, we've got Keeler Park Reserve, Newsom Face in the south, outdoor netball court, Cecilla Park, Deer Park, Keeler Lodge Pitch, Taylor's Lakes. 5 facilities which could have, there's more sport clubs affected by that too, or one precinct. So my question to council is here, what do you think is better value for money? What is the opportunity cost that you're willing to put into one precinct or 4 to 5 sport facilities throughout the club? I am against this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Nguyen. Does any other councillor wish to speak?
May I have a right of reply to that?
No, you're not the mover of the motion. Councillor Bog.
Thank you. Just briefly, Madam Mayor, I am also voting against this alternative motion for the reasons that Councillor Nguyen has mentioned. Again, I have put a lot of thinking into all this. And besides, in addition to those reasons, rather, there's also lots and lots of uncertainties, which can have lots and lots of financial implications down the track. And for that reason, I will not support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Would anybody else like to speak? Councillor David.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. I still remember the tour we took with the last term of councillors, Madam Deputy. I never seen any councillors in my life as a councillor so happy in watching the area there that we're going to build 2 and 3 and maybe more parks there for sport. And I've been a bit of a lover for sport all my life. But again, I think the reason we're speaking against the officer's report is because we spent the $2 million. And those $2 million were spent in good faith because you asked them to do so. And they did. Feasibility studies and others, they built a huge car park there, beautiful car park, and they purified the surrounding area. That's where the money went. Now, I watched the cricket play there as well on that concrete pitch. But at that time, in respect to Councillor Takos, nobody knew about indigenous grasses. They didn't know anything about flora and fauna. This is what we have before us today. And if we have to change all that, we have to go through Commonwealth governments and state governments. And $17 million, we haven't got that money in this city. We haven't got that money at all. What are we talking about? I'll finish at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor David. Would anybody else like to speak to the motion? Thank you. I'd like to put the motion. Oh, sorry, Councillor Lancashire, you do have a right of reply. Thank you.
Yes. Look, there is a bigger picture in terms of recreation and what's been going on in terms of sporting facilities across the municipality. And what makes this important? We've seen officer report after officer report that has already cancelled axed sporting facilities in the nearby Sydenham Park. There was the Gillespie report from 2004, and it proposed I think about 7 or 8 sporting facilities. All of those have now been axed. There's been a massive reduction. We've seen the officer recommendation against the Keeler proposal. We've now seen the officer recommendation after supporting this for 7 years to cancel this. It's confusing to see how we can have the officers then coming up with things like a $500 million stadium and sports complex on a toxic waste site down in Energy Park. No one really believes that will go ahead. So we're losing a lot of our recreational facilities, and what we've seen over the years, we do need to make sure that we keep going on our recreational facilities to make sure we keep pace. There are a number of ways of financing this, as we have heard, through borrowings or through changing priorities. So there's certainly ways in which we can fund it. We are told we are financially capable
Councillor
of
Lancashire,
funding
you've
it.
got 15 seconds.
Thank you. So I'll leave it there, but this is a priority project surely for the community. Thank you.
Through you, Chair, I just note as per our governance rules 77, I note that Councillor Lancashire has just made some comments that are criticising staff, and I note that staff have undertaken this work in good faith with due diligence and have provided advice based on evidence. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I put the motion to vote. All those in favour? 1, 2. All those against?
May I
That
ask
motion-
for a division?
You may. All those in favour? Councillor Maria Kerr, Councillor Bruce Lancashire and Councillor Virginia Tarkos. All those against? Councillor Sam David, Councillor Jasmine Nguyen, Councillor Thomas O'Reilly, Councillor Victoria Borg, Councillor Jay Papalia, Councillor Sarah Branton and Councillor Twee Dang. Okay, so I understand Councillor Nguyen has foreshadowed a motion. Can we have that motion on screen, please? Oh, sorry, it is on screen. Is it? No, that's... sorry, Councillor Nguyen, what is the motion that you'd like to foreshadow?
I would like to move the officer's report.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that motion?
Second that motion, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor David. Councillor Nguyen, would you like to speak to the motion?
I would like to acknowledge that council has done a lot of work in investigating this area, acknowledging the $2 million investigation. But also there has been new information provided which says that this project could blow the budget at $17 million or more. We don't know because of the artifacts and it's a cultural site of significance. It's a whole redevelopment plan. And with that same money, you could create 4 to 5 different sport facilities. As a councillor, I think that's a better amount for ratepayer money. I think this affects more sports clubs than just one precinct. It's spread out for municipality. And yes, I urge councillors to think of the wider community when you make votes and decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nguyen. Councillor David, as seconder, would you like to speak to this motion?
Madam Mayor, I said what I had to say a bit earlier, and I think that's enough. Yeah,
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Councillor Kerr?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I'm appalled at these decisions. Tonight, the biggest losers are in the north of Brimbank, the residents of Keilor Downs, the residents of Kielba, the residents of Keilor, the residents of Sydenham. It seems to me that we're always being put last on this council, so shame on the councillors that voted against this.
Councillor Tarkos?
I would also like it noted that all along this project, we were advised to support it by council officers. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to? Councillor Lancashire?
Yes, thank you. Look, I also am appalled by this decision. It is something, as I said, we have a growing population. We have a need for sporting facilities like this, and we have seen sporting facility after sporting facility cancelled, and proposals that really we don't expect to ever see proposed, which will not compensate for these losses. I just find that while we've supported things like many expenses, roads and other things across the municipality, to be starting to pull away from our commitment over a long period of time to try and get our sporting facilities back to where they were before, or sort of should be, where they need to be, given our community is just a real step backwards from community first, and a real step backwards in terms of sporting facilities. So this is a dreadful loss, a dreadful shame. Thank you very much.
Would anybody else like to speak to the motion? Councillor Nguyen,
Madam Deputy
oh,
Mayor,
yeah, you do have a right of, oh, sorry, you want to speak?
just to say that I heard that all the money,
Oh, I think you've spoken, sorry,
Then-
Councillor David.
Oh, you want-
You have spoken. I think, Councillor Nguyen, as the mover, you do have a right of reply. Thank you, sorry, Councillor David.
Look, okay. While some councillors are appalled about, look, I just want to say I respect each and every councillor's opinion. Like, you have your own opinion, fair to it. I just want to say it, I respect that. I highly disagree that council has not thought about the wider municipality when they were coming up with this report, because a couple of the facilities mentioned are in the North Precinct: Keeler Lodge, Pitchpool, Taylor's Lakes, Keeler Park Reserve. That's that point. And I just want to say that, look, as soon as the new information was found, the council did try to advise councillors of what we should do next. And it's only prudent right now that we think about the opportunity cost of what we're going to do with that money. And I think it is to spread the money across the municipality. So that's just my opinion of what the best value for money is for ratepayer. So thank you.
Thank you. So I was just conscious Councillor O'Reilly has left, but we will proceed with the meeting. I'm going to, if there's no other speakers, I'm going to put that motion to vote. All in favour? All those against? The motion is carried. Yes, Maria, Councillor Cody May. All those for? Councillor Tui Dang, Councillor Sarah Branton, Councillor Jay Papalia, Councillor Sam David, Councillor, oh my gosh, it's getting late, Jasmine Nguyen, and Councillor Victoria Borg. And then against, Councillor Virginia Tarkos, Councillor Maria Kerr, and Councillor Bruce Lancashire. Thank you. That motion is carried. Okay, we're going to go to item 12.12, which is the proposed additional accessible parking in front of Brimbank Community and Civic Centre. Over to you, Mr. Levers.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This report is provided in response to a notice of motion from the council meeting of 17th of November 2023. The notice of motion called for a review of options, feasibility and cost to increase accessible parking near the Brimbank Civic and Community Centre. The report outlines that there's demand for accessible parking via formal disability parking spaces, short-term parking bays for people without disability parking permits, and for general community accessing nearby shops and services. The report provides costs and options to increase the amount of accessible parking, but notes that the cost would be $85,000 or $100,000 depending on the option, due to the physical works that would be required, and thereby doesn't recommend either option. Officers believe the current mix of parking spaces gets the balance right to meet the current needs and don't recommend any change, but that increased enforcement be undertaken, noting that people with disability parking permits can use the current parks and that their permits provide them extended time in the timed car parks.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Mr. Lever? Ms. Kerr?
Can I just confirm, in the recommendations, are you recommending in option C that the existing car parks can be used as accessible bays also, and they don't incur a time limit?
Through the Deputy Mayor, the people with a disability parking permit can stay longer than the timed allocation on the sign, and I think it's twice the allocated time.
But I'm a bit confused because the other recommendations say that those parkings are not fit for purpose to be accessible car parks. So why would people that have a disability be able to use option C?
Yeah, so through the Deputy Mayor, there may be some people with disabilities that have needs like wheelchairs and the like that are unable to use the standard car parks because their vehicle and wheelchair just might not fit within the bay. There will be people that have got disability permits for other mobility reasons that can use a standard car park, and they would be able to and entitled to use those spaces.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a mover of the motion?
Madam Deputy Mayor, may I put a motion in to defer this report till next month?
Just one moment. Yes, you can move that motion if you have a seconder of the motion. Or before we do that, is there anything that needs to be foreshadowed? Oh, okay, I need a seconder, please. To defer, yep. Councillor O'Reilly, you second that motion?
Yeah.
Thank you. Would anybody like to foreshadow?
Just a question, Madam Deputy. What is the reason for deferring this motion?
Do I have to provide that at this time? But I'm happy to give a reason if that's required.
There'll be no, so where council resolves to defer an item, there'll be no further debate on the item, and the motion will be as follows: that council defers the item to be considered at the next practical council meeting.
I'm happy with that.
Okay, thank you, and that was seconded by Councillor O'Reilly. All in favour? Oh, sorry, someone just wanted to ask about foreshadowing. Is anybody looking to foreshadow a meeting if that doesn't pass? No? Okay, we'll proceed. All those in favour? That motion is carried. Okay. We'll go to item 12.13, which is the municipal maintenance agreement. Mr. Levers, please.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Council has been maintaining median strips on arterial roads under a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Transport and Planning. These areas are the responsibility of the department, but maintenance is undertaken by council via an agreement. The specification and financial contribution is well below the cost of maintaining these assets to council standards, and we have made this clear to the department. Council receives approximately $110,000 per annum from the department to maintain these assets. The cost for council to do so is closer to $475,000, meaning council subsidising state government and the Department of Transport and Planning about $355,000 per annum for these works. And this cost is likely to increase, not decrease, if we continue to maintain these assets. Officers have raised this issue with senior officers at DTP and have been advised quite clearly that DTP is not, DTP being Department of Transport and Planning, will not increase their contribution in the short term and maybe not at any point. They have advised council is not obliged to continue providing this service or subsidy, and can determine to continue as is and subsidise, reduce the service level we provide to do the maintenance, or hand back responsibility. Officers are recommending against retaining responsibility and reducing the service level because we think that will lead to criticism of council. And we note that some other councils have handed back responsibility for maintaining DTP assets due to similar concerns. And our advice outlined in the report is that we, as a first step, write to the department, the Minister and the Secretary, seeking that they increase their contribution with a response requested by the end of the financial year. We would also include local MPs and other stakeholders in that correspondence and then bring a report back to council with the outcomes and any response.
Thank you, Mr. Leavers. Does anyone have any questions? Director, no. May I have a mover of the motion? Councillor Nguyen.
To move the motion as per business papers.
Thank you. A seconder? Councillor Takos.
Business papers, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Nguyen, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, as a council, we receive so many requests to maintain lawns, roads, etc. And it's quite frustrating for us because some of that is actually state land and it's actually their responsibility to maintaining it as well. And we've been subsidising the maintenance. And it's only fair that council requests the state government to increase their contributions to maintaining their responsibilities. It's quite fair. So looking forward to hear a response. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Takos.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what Councillor Nguyen said, but also to say that one of the big pressures that we face on our budgets is cost shifting by the state government and expecting us to maintain existing, if not higher levels of maintenance. And you only have to look at some of the verges on the freeways that are looked after by the state government to see the overgrowth and the poor maintenance, and for them to expect us to maintain their land and with the significant increase of equipment, petrol, labour, employment, you know, how can they expect it at a cut price cost? Because in return, we've been asking them for support for so many other services, also the lollipop people, all these services that have been cost shifted on to us come at a huge cost to us taking away from other services. So I fully support the officer's recommendation and that we advocate strongly to firstly write to them, but then also release ourselves from that responsibility. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Takos. Would anybody else like to speak to the motion? To the report? No, I put this to vote. All in favour? The motion carries. Okay, we're going to item 12.13, Municipal Maintenance Agreement. Sorry, we just had that one. We've done that. We're going to 12.14, which is the final draft Alfreda Street Public Realm Master Plan. Mr. Leavers.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This report presents the final Alfreda Street Master Plan for Council adoption, final draft Master Plan. The Master Plan's an action of the GO St Albans Action Plan 2019 to 24. The development of this Master Plan involved significant consultation with specific consultations in 2021, 22 and 24 and close engagement with the stakeholders such as the St Albans Traders Association. The Master Plan proposes 3 stages of works to improve the civic walk area, the core of the activity centre, then to focus on the nature walk leading to Taylors Road and the Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre, and including as a third and final stage the neighbourhood walk, which is modest improvements in the residential section of Alfreda Street. The outcome would be an improved amenity with expanded, safe and accessible pathways on both sides of the street, improvements to public space and increased greening along the entire length of Alfreda Street, encouraging activation and supporting local activity. If approved, the master plan would be delivered over several years in stages according to budget capacity.
Thank you, Mr. Leavers. Are there any questions from councillors? No. May I have a mover of a motion? Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Acting Mayor. I move the officer recommendation on the shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Dang.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I second it.
Thank you. Councillor Lancashire, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, there has been discussions going on about that, and I appreciate the changes that have been made as a result of those discussions. However, when we look back on it, the earlier proposal did stir the community up quite a lot, as we recall. So we were forced to, or needed to, go back and reconsider the whole proposal. That has been, I believe, diligently done by the urban design team and staff in that manner. The plan that's come back, I think, is a good plan and better recognises the real characteristics for those, and that includes quite a few of us who wander along Alfreda Street and do some shopping from time to time. So it looks like a good urban design plan. We recognise that we've spent a lot of money in Harvester Road, Sunshine, redoing works there. It's now time to look at the next big area, which is St Albans. This road strip goes a long way north. There's some interesting aspects to this, not just simply the retail area. So well done to the staff in how they've gone through the concerns raised by the public, and I would recommend this proposal to council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dang, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Councillor Lancashire covered it already, so I'll just say thank you to the staff, the St Albans Business Association, and all the community had contributed their time to have the final one. So I recommend the report. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Dang. Does anybody else wish to speak to this motion? Okay, we'll put the motion to vote. All in favour? The motion is carried. Okay, we are going on to our final item tonight, which is item 12.15, which is contract number 212994, graffiti removal and inspection services contract extension. Mr. Levers.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This report recommends the extension of a current contract for the purpose of graffiti removal from Council's facilities, assets and open space throughout the municipality. Council entered a contract with CalCorp in April 2021 for a period of 3 years with an option to extend for a further 2 years. The current contract ends on the 8th of May 2024. Officers have assessed the current performance of the contractor and recommend the extension of the current contract.
Thank you, Mr. Levers. Any questions from councillors? No. May I have a mover of the motion? Councillor Tarkos.
I move the motion as per shared screen.
Thank you. A seconder? Councillor Kerr.
I second it as per the shared screen.
Thank you. Would any Councillor Tarkos, would you wish to speak? No. Councillor Kerr. Any others wish to speak? No. I put that to vote. All in favour? That motion is carried. Okay, item 13, notices of motion. We have no notice of motion this evening. Item 14, notices of rescission. We've got none of those. Item 15, urgent business. Chair, CEO, is there any urgent business?
There's no urgent business. Thank you.
Okay, great. And item 16, confidential business. We have no items of confidential business this evening. Okay, thank you all for attending and for your interest in tonight's meeting. I declare the meeting closed at 9:23 p.m. I instruct Channel 31 to stop live streaming this meeting. Thank you, everyone.